A young woman learns the hard way that she is to marry a bloodthirsty creature. The film begins in a bone-chilling manner. A man stops outside a room and asks an imprisoned woman inside if she is going to eat now. He unlocks the door, but the captive knocks him down and runs away. The woman takes the strings from a piano and ties one around her neck. Holding a marble bust, the woman whispers, "Everything ends with me," and then jumps, decapitating herself. In New York City, Evie is working as a catering employee. After work, her friend Grace gives her a gift for her birthday, and Evie goes to the apartment to relax and do some ceramics. She can't concentrate though, and decides to open her present, which is a DNA test, in order for people to discover their roots. She takes the survey, and soon enough, finds out that she has a cousin named Oliver, currently living in Great Britain. Evie decides to meet up with him, and Grace warns her to be careful. The next day, Evie meets Oliver in a cafe. They both chat about business and family, where Evie mentions that she lost her father when she was 14 years old, and her mother only a few months earlier. Oliver tells her that she descends from a wealthy family and invites her to Great Britain to attend one of their cousins' wedding. Evie is reluctant, of course, but eventually agrees. Oliver picks her up at the airport, and they both go to New Carfax Abbey, that belongs to the DeVille family. They're supposed to spend the next few days there until the wedding takes place. After a minor accident with one of the maids, Evie meets Walter, the lord of the manor, who seems to take an interest in her. Mr. Field, the head butler of the estate, gives Evie a small tour of the interior and introduces her to Mrs. Swift, her personal maid. Evie is fascinated by the manor's design and has a look around. A painting of the previous lady of the manor catches her attention. Evie video chats with Grace and tells her about Walter. Suddenly, there is a knock at the door, and speak of the devil, Walter is there, apologizing for Field's rude behavior and expressing his liking towards Evie. Evie goes for a jog in the nearby woods, but she hears weird noises and then sees a creepy-looking woman staring at her from the manor. Evie wakes up, startled by the horrid nightmare, and goes to have a walk inside the manor. She sees Mr. Field giving orders to the maids, and a dark hooded figure approaches her slowly from behind. Mrs. Swift surprises Evie and takes her back to her room, saying that it is dangerous in the dark. Shortly afterwards, a maid enters the library by orders of Mr. Field to clean it. The place is off limits to anyone but members of staff, but something sinister is moving in the shadows. Music starts to play from a phonograph. The maid looks terrified. She raises her head and sees two fearsome eyes fixated on her. She is grabbed by something unseen, and a woman's hand kills the music. In the morning, Evie meets the other members of her new old family. Mr. Field sends two maids down to the cellar to fetch him a specific wine. He chants as he walks away, the same way he did the night before, outside the library. The maids search for the wine bottle, but they're totally unaware of a shady presence lurking above. The lights flicker, and the maids are killed by an evil hooded figure. Evie gets scared that night by a little bird hitting her window. Wearing the wonderful dress Walter has left in her bedroom, Evie attends the wedding rehearsal, and there she meets Lucy and Victoria. While Lucy is cute and kind, Victoria proves to be quite the specimen of a nasty and snobby woman. Evie walks away, and Lucy follows her to chat about New York. Walter makes an entrance and dances with Evie. Victoria and Oliver congratulate each other about Evie's selection, and Walter takes Evie out for a walk. He leads her to a workplace with ceramic equipment. Walter tries to impress Evie, and he succeeds by kissing her. Afterwards, Victoria makes a rude statement about Evie, and Walter warns her to be nice. Later that night, Evie gets scared by a terrifying creature standing on the canopy of the bed. Walter comes in and comforts her, saying that there's nothing there. He lies down with her to help her sleep. They talk, and Walter reveals that he wants to find a woman that will see him the way he is, a woman to accept and love him just like he is. Evie falls asleep, and in the morning she gets a spa treatment with Lucy and Victoria. Evie chats idly with Lucy, and Victoria teases her by referring to the natural-born curiosity of all people. One of the maids accidentally injures Evie's finger, and upset by Victoria's blunt manners, she walks away. Drawn by her curiosity, Evie unlocks the library and goes inside to have a look. She breaks something and drops a folder. Picking it up, she sees a detailed file about her life. Evie gets upset and packs up to leave. Walter comes and Evie accuses him of stalking her. Walter says that he's sorry and says that he did what he did in order to check out if Evie was a decent person and not an opportunist. With his charm and sweet talk, Walter convinces Evie to stay and not only that, but the two of them end up in bed. Walter asks Evie to marry him, and Evie says yes, but she later says that she's joking. At the rehearsal dinner, Walter greets the visiting families. Evie wonders about the whereabouts of the bride and groom that are to marry at the new Carfax Abbey. Walter announces his wedding with Evie, and she objects. One of the maids has her throat slit and her blood spilled into a bowl. Walter drinks a cup from it and speaks about the importance of having 3 wives. It turns out Lucy and Victoria are already wed to him, and Evie is to be Walter's 3rd bride. Moreover, Evie's grandmother, Emmeline, escaped the wedding by killing herself. It was the woman who beheaded herself, and that Evie has been seeing in her dreams and around the manor a few times. Walter, who is revealed to be a vampire, says that he has spared the mortals who have supported him with wives all these years. Evie freaks out and tries to leave. She is stopped, however, and Walter gives the order for her to be prepared. Evie is taken to the dungeon where Lucy and Victoria, also vampires themselves, tell her that her blood is special and that the 3 of them, and Walter, will become more powerful than ever. Victoria puts Evie inside a coffin and leaves her until morning, where Mrs. Swift comes and takes her out, offering her a precious window of escape. Evie asks her why she is helping her, and Mrs. Swift replies that she loved Emmeline and that this thing with the deaths and the brides needs to stop now. She also mentions that vampires can be killed by fire or decapitation, and promptly shows her the way out. Evie manages to evade Walter's men, who are searching for her. She hides in a shack, where she sees Mrs. Swift's dead body being brought in. Evie escapes and locks Mr. Field inside and runs away. Running through the woods, she reaches a town and asks for help from an elderly couple. Thinking she is safe, Evie notices a picture with the couple standing next to Mr. Field and realizes that she is not out of harm's way yet. She attempts to run away, but she is knocked out by the old woman. When she regains consciousness, she is back at New Carfax Abbey, where she learns that Walter is actually Count Dracula. Walter says that there is no way to avoid her fate and bites one of the poor maids in the leg. Evie passes out again, and when she comes to, she is escorted down the aisle, dressed and ready to marry Walter. Evie agrees to marry Walter, remembering Victoria's words that if she drinks his blood, she will absorb his great power. She does so and becomes a vampire herself. Evie then fools everyone and starts a fire, driving all the spectators out. She stabs Walter in the chest with a wooden stake and frees one of the maids, running away with her. Victoria chases them and attacks Evie. She injures her, but before she can finish her, Lucy intervenes and fights her. Lucy pushes Victoria into a marble spear and both vampires are impaled. Evie watches as they turn into dust and scatter. Evie flees and Mr. Field attacks her with a spear, calling her worthless. Evie breaks the end of the spear and stabs him in the heart, killing him. Walter, now aged beyond recognition, appears again crawling on the wall. He grabs Evie by the throat and scolds her for her ungratefulness. Evie takes out her clay cutters and severs Walter's hand, pushing him into the fire. As Walter dies, Evie turns back to human again. She is seen walking out of the manor, already engulfed in flames. 2 weeks later, Evie and Grace head to Oliver's office to make him play for fooling Evie and assisting the vampires in killing all those innocent women that used to work at the Carfax Abbey.